I am so ready to finally see the conclusion of this event, to see which of these two incredibly good casters makes it out, and I'm excited to share it with you, Law.
And I'm excited to share it with everyone right now as we are going to be jumping into Game 1 of Grand Finals! Absolutely excited for this one. And it does look like because Trish is higher seated, he got to choose who gets to go first or second here, and he will take going first. Is Trish going first here? Oh, no, Justin.
We're actually resolving a mulligan here. Justin has decided to take one. Looks like we are keeping the second hand, so Trish is going to go ahead and spend that first turn to expend a draw. This play has become so popular recently.
It really has. It's either you play a resource generator on that first turn where you don't have to worry about a Gorgons, or you take the safe option and expend a draw. Being able to grab just the extra resources for the rest of the game kind of has become a very popular option, as we've seen very regularly. And with that in mind, it does look like Justin is going to cast out the Funny Bunny, the Astrabbit coming down here. Gonna get another look at the top three of his deck, pick something to add to hand.
Just the diminished utility of the card, the inability to deal with huge problem threats like BlueStacks and the like, as well as the feels bad situations you frequently get into with Werepup, have scared a lot of people off of it, at least in main deck. After boarding and, you know, an assurance that you're going first, things change. But for now, way more than happy to cast out a Galaxy to try and deal with that Astrabbit.
Absolutely. Galaxy being one of these power players that we have seen in this Lunar aggro list, namely for the fact that it is unaffected by Nobby's stat drop.
We are going to do what I appear is, I think it's the damage, or the battle step Gorgons that will change the Nobby's attack to 2 and cause it to crash with the Astrabbit.
Yeah, the Galaxy here will definitely crash if that is in fact what we are going to see here, which I have to imagine that's what Justin is going for. Preserving the rabbit here doesn't really seem like that big of a deal. So instead, using it to basically take the exact situation you want it to is very powerful. And that means Justin is now going to be coming into his turn only seeing one back row out of Trish, which we very notably did not have it answer the rabbit. So I have to imagine he's going to develop something like another rabbit.
But you also have these cards like Spectaris that rather than just slam onto a board, you want to be able to get some form of value off of. You have these cards like Werepup that you want to be able to deploy in such a way that it matters. There's not too much that feels good on an empty board state, with the exception of exactly Astrabbit. So you can't help but feel great for Justin. Speaking of cards that actually do something, here's Spectaris. Ooh, that's
water.
A missed Spectaris, by the way.
So this is definitely to play around a potential tsunami, but Justin with the Shield of Achilles is just going to bump that right back to the hand. Doesn't feel too bad protecting his Astrabbit now that I have to assume that might be the last rabbit that he had in the hand, as now he's trying to get a little more protective of it. I guess that is very fair here. But also we know that Justin in the past has been
That's with the Gorgons.
Oh, that's a fair Gorgons here. Yeah. You don't want the bunny pushing 2 damage. And now Justin just going to put the bunny in defense, because what are you going to do to answer it overall? But Justin with one back row set here, and arresting out of Trishula is going to clean up that double spirit rabbit. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Agonizing resting. You can see neither individual is really too keen on setting cards here. Putting things into the back row puts you at a huge disadvantage into Hurricane. You don't want to get got by Nobby. But now that we have an Elestral out that beats the Nobby, we can safely get in for a damage. Just looking through the hand real quick, picking a Spirit. Going to go with the Owloon, draw up to 7 again. Let's see what we've got going.
But that is not the piece coming down here. It is going to be the Eddy. And Edward does, in fact, answer this Spectaris. That's going to put the Spec to defense mode, not noting that is one of the bluest Eddies I have ever seen with my eyes as it walks
Printer
over.
Eddy. both Spectaris does and does not play around Cryoblast. Obviously, it's a perfect target for the card, but it's also such an alluring target that it often checks for it, which means that your Werepup can later become a Like a Void unimpeded. Here we're going for the Nabi. We're going to try for the effect here. Going to be met with a Full Moon. Full Moon is going to Nexus onto the Eddy, which is going to keep it Lunar Enchanted, therefore not dropping from Nabi. Get ourselves into a position where both the Eddy and the Nabi have 4 attack, and Trish is allowed to take the Crash, but of course doing so will cost him. A proactive Gorgons here from Trish. Yep, does come down and prevents Eddy from being Nexused onto.
Yeah, that is absolutely a heads-up play there. So Eddy will be a 2-1. Nabi now able to just walk over
and it resolves.
Yeah, that is not something you want to see as Justin here. The Doppelganger is going to come down from Trishula here, and that is backbreaking if you're Justin. But the question is, does Justin maybe save the back row to deal with the Doppelganger?
And you could see them expending the floor mine here, thinking, I think I've missed my opportunity to go for the Cryoblast. The game's going to come down to like this Doppelganger push, and boy, oh boy, does this card lose to very little in terms of removal spells.
Yeah, Justin taking the draw here. You have to assume that he's
Earthquaker
probably
Laurels.
looking for... it's a set card is Laurels. Yep, that'll do
Pro
it.
set Laurels. That's good, but brings Justin down to 5 to Trishula's 9 spirit count. You still got to be sitting pretty if you're Trishula, even though it appears you are down 2 cards in rotation. The Doppelganger line completely unavailable for Trishula, as well as a couple of Spectruses. And with so many Spectruses gone, Justin feels like it is time to get pushing with Galaxy, a card that resists pretty much everything but the aforementioned card.
Yeah, absolutely. Galaxy being able to get a push in here for 1 is going to be, while little in the short term, is absolutely going to be bad. Yeah, and there goes the floor mine. I guess Cryoblast off the table for both of these players now.
What actually deals with this card? Earthquake, obviously.
Spectaris.
But Spectaris, which we've already seen 2 of out of Trishula.
Yeah, that's fair.
Are we going Rabbit here? Elechick also does it.
Yeah, Elechick for Zeus would absolutely do it here. Is Justin set the Gorgons? I don't believe it is. You would have seen
Looks
it.
Looks like it's not.
There.
If it's only got 1 activation in it, that shield suddenly walls the Elechick forever. And that's exactly what's happening, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are. Okay, 1 more Zaptor in rotation.
All right, so this Zeus is going to get another proc after the fact here. But now that Zeus is double enchanted, do you really want to?
Yeah, I was going to say, this is total seeding. A Nabi coming down would be really killer, especially if it can be followed up. Cryoblast, oh my goodness, we're on 2 Fleur Mine. Is going to send Elechick to the Underworld here. I imagine that Trishula knew that, given that he's in the same position. And the follow-up Galaxy, oh no.
Yeah, that Galaxy might... The Galaxy is absolutely good here, but Trish already has the Zeus developed. So anything with a decent attack stat is going to get over this Galaxy here, sadly. So you have to...
He's putting him on Gotta Have It.
Yeah, Ambro coming down out of Trish. That's a pretty good one to see in these really close game states.
You have to make a really hard decision about if you're expending to draw, going up to... like 6 here, and then taking 1 to 5, then 2 off of the subsequent development from Justin to go even further down. We are going to sink the Galaxy. What do we have? Cryoblast.
It might actually... no, Cryoblast wouldn't do it.
It would, yeah.
Oh, wait, yeah, it would.
Galaxy
You're right. Galaxy of our own. Well, that means that we are going to see 0-2 Whale on Justin's side, as it is properly enchanted, meaning both of the stat swaps negate. It's so weird.
All right, 3 cards in hand for Justin. 1's got to be Ambro, right? No, Spectre's coming down. That's a great answer to the Galaxy. We have a back row as well. All in on the Specterus. Is it shield? It's Tsunami. And we still have the requisite amount of spirits and extra. Oh, gosh. But I struggle to think what would win from this position landing. Any individual Elestral will probably walk with the entire thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, currently Galaxy does not do it by itself, as Galaxy attacking into Specterus, but Nabi will do it.
Oh my goodness, and a quick one for Trishula. We are 1 game away from the bridesmaid becoming the bride. It could happen here tonight. I think
yeah,
we are ready to hop into the second one right now.
Oh no!
Just one. Just one. Okay.
Okay, it's
I
the
was hoping that
rabbit.
wasn't the mulligan.
We see the funny bunny come
bunny.
down on turn 1.
It is very possible that in this next one, Trishula finds himself in a position where he doesn't have the benefit of those 2 spirits, the extra Ambrose, and will have to dig himself out of a hole. Edward,
looks like
that's pretty good. That is not bad. I got to tell you, I heard over and over again that Edward was cooked, that the time of Edward has passed, that Eddie was completely washed, and all I've seen all day is Eddie do amazing things.
I agree.
We're just going to bait out that tsunami.
Yeah, the Edward haters are in shambles right now. As the Tsunami, playing super defensive with this rabbit, is a very good card to see here. Yeah, and it looks like he's going to be committing.
Oh, we're developing another bunny?
Please be.
Yeah.
It's another funny bunny. These bunnies
Aggro
are
rabbit,
just
though.
too funny. He is opting to go 2 bunnies rather than enchanting onto a 1. And there's the Cryoblast, just like you said. But I think that going onto 2 bunnies here very specifically is trying to play around the same snapback play that Trish did last game of snapping Laurels onto the 2 spirit bunny.
Always better to go wide.
That is very fair. With that, Trish is expending notably a Thunder and a Lunar here. I have
the exact same game.
Yeah, it kind of is. The difference here is that Justin actually got to keep his bunny this time.
I would imagine that set card has got to be a Tsunami. We're going to go for the Werepup here because it contests not only the Astrap, but also demands a response. If you expect that the single back row is Tsunami, then turns out Werepup actually doesn't do much about that.
But also, you have to consider,
out.
What if the set Trishula back row is Full Moon?
That would be a very good turn. We could attack with the Werepup into the Astrabbit. We would eat a copy of Tsunami, and then we could Like a Void to do 3 or 4. If that happens this turn, it's going to be a big deal. After the Earthquake on the 1 bunny, this is the last card.
So it will be able to swing over the bunny if Justin
This is a hard call for Justin, because this is like an obvious Tsunami. But if the set card is Full Moon, you lose the game on the spot. Like, it is miserably difficult to get back into this game. So I think he's thinking he would never do this knowing it's probably Tsunami based on the way that I played my turn, unless he had Full Moon. Maybe I just take it, try and get him to activate it in such a way that he's not protected from Tsunami, then Tsunami on his turn so I can out the Like a Void. We are going for the Tsunami. We're going for the Tsunami here. Let's see, is the set card Full Moon? Show us, Trish. No,
it is not. Meaning that Justin now has to keep in mind that at any point this Werepup could just become a Like a Void. That's
Speaking
just
of
absolutely. And there goes the Werepup of his own here. That is
He's checking the text on Werepup here. I know exactly what's going through Trishula's head. Is it when someone casts a Full Moon or when you cast a Full Moon? Because if it's someone, it really turns off his ability to Full Moon to Like a Void to contest the Werepup, because then Justin could go for a Like a Void as well.
The answer is it is your own copy of Full Moon. Very specifically.
Yeah, thank goodness for that. That would be really miserable.
It does say when you cast Lunar Phase Full Moon, which
So
that would have been a very funny interaction otherwise. But even still, Justin getting his own Full Moon off of this Werepup kind of puts him into a similar situation. Very notably not going for the attack in. Trish showing that his set was in fact the Cryoblast there, going to be able to clean up the Werepup. And now this might...
This is very bad, yeah.
Yeah, this is a
no, the lack of attack makes perfect sense, because while you do have a 3-2 and a profitable trade on the Werepup, which would force out the Like a Void in a position where they're going to get the immunity only for the single turn, you put yourself in a really bad position if you read that the set card is Shield of Achilles, because then they can develop Werepup in a profitable way, whereas you will never be able to again. As a result, we just walked into a pro set Cryoblast. I can't believe how well Trishula is playing. Like, despite the fact, it's hard to really communicate this level of nuance, but despite the fact that it looks like he's just playing normal stuff, he is 100% in Justin's head.
Yeah. Very notably here, the Full Moon coming down. Justin considering options. You have to imagine, though, if Justin has the...
You Gorgons this, for sure.
If he has the Gorgons, you snap that Gorgons.
I mean, I think what he's thinking is that it's not very profitable. Like, you have to Gorgons because you don't want to take 6 here, yeah, but it's not a particularly strong one, right? Like, you still have the Werepup, you still have the Galaxy. You're Gorgonsing onto a board that contains a Galaxy and not targeting the Galaxy. Do you know how bad that feels? It's just a really terrible position to be in, but the Rabbit is still going to hold it down as a result.
And quite notably,
Nexus onto the Galaxy here.
Yeah, Full Moon does still have to resolve in that regard, and Galaxy being the only legal target for a Spirit enchantment. But actually, what could be really funny is what if he's on Dense Fog? Now that Galaxy is Dense Fog proof, but there's the
Killer Spect here. This is a horrifying application of this card. This is exactly what you did not want to see if you're Trish. Even if he shields it, it's possible he doesn't have a good out for it based on what's in the Spirit deck. Yeah, as expected, here comes the shield down. That's the best you can do in this circumstance, but you have no offensive pressure because you still can't out the Rabbit, and the Spect is just going to develop again. He's asking about Spirits to try and see if he's out of Owloons.
The funniest part about these guys being on identical lists is they know the exact Spirit composition. They know what their opponent has and doesn't have left. And
spend a draw. We're fishing for an out to this bunny. I can't believe it.
This bunny is so funny. I don't know what to say other than that.
I feel like it's got to be either the card drawn off of the expended Spirit, which is relevant and stops Spectrus, or it's a bluff. Like, you would never expend a draw here if you could push the advantage, and I just have to read that he doesn't going into the Galaxy here, and yeah, no answer to the Spectrus. So miserable to be in this position. The game looked completely over, but a 5 defense Rabbit is holding the whole thing down. Really hard to even think what Trishula could draw here that would resolve this situation. Bunny is a good way to try and find something, but you've got to find an out for the Spectrus. You've got to find an out for the Bunny. You have to do it in such a way that doesn't put you so totally dead to Nobby that you could lose from 9. At present, we've just got the Werepup chilling. It's a really, really bad series of events.
But notably,
Amber pulling off the Werepup. That's beautiful. Here, playing around Nobby as best we can. We understand the way that we lose this game is if instead of doing little advantage trades, it gets to a position where like a Like a Void or a Nobby makes an appearance.
There is notably at least 1/6 in his deck.
Oh no.
But Eddie is another great answer for this
devastating
Rabbit.
Eddie for Trish.
Oh, that is absolutely terrifying to see coming.
Well, that set card wasn't an out to Spectrus last turn, but maybe it changed. Getting in for one here.
Yeah, this is going to be very unfortunate. Though, quite notably, Justin has now put himself into a position where a Nobby push could come out from Trishula. It wouldn't be the greatest, though. With that, there's the wall. Yeah, that is definitely going to clean up. I imagine the Rabbit. Yeah, you have ways to deal with the Spect. You have ways to deal with the Eddie. You do not have a whole lot of ways to deal with that defense position Rabbit. Trish, looking over his hand, has the other Werepup. This is going to get him to that Full Moon. That is...
I mean, this is a strong play, but it is also not an answer to the board. The last thing at our disposal. We have to give ourselves the most opportunities to make sure this card resolves. We're going to try that by setting some cards, even though we know that theoretically we're putting ourselves in a bad position versus a Hurricane.
Down comes a Thunder Spirit to expend a draw by the looks of it. Does not look like he has a real viable answer in terms of Elestrals in the hand.
Full Moon comes down now or later. We are going to get to Like a Void. If we don't have an answer, it's just going to happen. And if it happens, we'd prefer it happen at a point where it's not immune to counter runes. Going to set a second one. I imagine we will try for it here. So the only real thing that could happen is like a shield or a tsunami, and it looks like Justin says, you know what, actually I'm just not gonna mess with it. That telegraphs a little bit. It makes you think that the new set is probably Gorgon's Gaze and is trying to goad Trishula into proactively activating the Full Moon in a position where it actually wouldn't do anything, which means to play around that, Trishula probably performs his normal cast beforehand, so whatever he casts can theoretically challenge whatever Justin has on their side of the field. Looks like we may not have a good cast in the dark, so we are going to go for the Full Moon, targeting the Werepup. Let's see the Gorgons.
I have to imagine that if Justin probably would have realistically snapped the Gorgons right then and there to even stop the Spirit from hitting the Werepup.
Looks like a no, yeah.
which means that this is going to be
nope.
Oh no, there is the Gorgons! Actually,
stuff.
that is fair. That does make it to where the spirit is now committed. And I do believe that that is, in fact, the last full moon out of Trishula. As standardly, we've seen most of these lunar aggro decks running only 2 copies of full moon, meaning that this Werepup is now just a sitting duck with 2 lunar spirits under it. This has to feel really bad from Trishula. This might be the corner turn that Justin needed.
Pulling the Amber off the Werepup feels pretty good here, but I can't agree with you more. This Werepup is now just a sitting duck, but would have a really hard time against the Spectress. Again, I have a really hard time thinking of a normal cast that makes sense into this setup.
I think realistically the normal cast here might be Nobby, because you can take there's a Nobby to take out the Eddie with the Nobby and then potentially crash the Doppelgator
into a full moon.
That is backbreaking.
Is the set card Gorgons, Trish? It's your last opportunity. It doesn't look like it.
Oh, that is unfortunate. Justin absolutely heads up play with that full moon, making it to where now Eddie can't just be walked over for a full board wipe. This is absolutely devastating to see if you're Trishula here, as now Justin, even though he hasn't really developed a whole lot, that is a very sizable hand. Justin has dropped down to 4 throughout the usage of this game. We've got an Ambro coming out here, notably pulling off the Eddie, as now that full moon is no longer really in rotation. That is going to put Justin back up to 7, and I think the other option, though, is going for a water enchant onto the Spectaris and fully just cleaning up the board through a Tsunami, if that is what Justin has the read on for the back row.
7 rounds of Swiss, 3 rounds of Top Cut. You don't want to make a mistake now. Second Edward. There's not really a fantastic hit here, but probably worth it to target the Nobby.
That way you don't even have to risk Spectaris getting answered here. The rest of it just
eating
cleans
the board. We're taking one.
Yeah, that is absolutely incredible from Justin. Again, I love these deep blue Eddies with the ink error prints. They're just...
Yeah, they're really nice.
I don't even know what he does.
You've seen Lavalith from him.
A Nobby?
Set 1 pass, that's like nothing. We're just going to expend a draw, says. Actually, you know what?
It's just, this is unfortunate for Trishula here, as the 3 damage is going to swing in, dropping Trishula to 4 if he's letting all this through, which I imagine he realistically has to.
You have to try and get a read on what he has drawn. Nobby off the top, 1 time.
Yeah, Nobby off the top. Oh, there's a Spectaris.
That's not Nobby, but it is also not terrible. Here we get to go into the Eddie, and if one of the set cards is a Tsunami that we've been slow rolling, then it does actually contest everything on the board. Question, of course, is if it's going to contest anything in the hand.
As a Spectaris crash getting blocked by Tsunami would just result in a Eddie, but down comes the Cryoblast. That is absolutely devastating here, and Trish is going to scoop it up after the fact.
And it looks like Justin's keeping 2, and we're expending a draw turn 1!
I mean, you said it best. An Ash Rabbit and an expended draw is effectively the same thing if your entire deck is good cards. Trishula only having 1 card in the back line here. Looks like Justin, I think this is a Galaxy coming down.
Yeah, really early Galaxy push. This is...
They're on the same list, and on top of that, I do know from the last time that they played the Lunar Aggro matchups here that both of them were on specifically 2 Whale and 2 Spectaris. So I have to imagine that when you develop the Whale, you know your opponent, and realistically, if you do know your opponent is on 2 Spectaris, you're just saying, okay, if you have it, you have it.
If it's a shield, of course, you'd prefer that. So instead, we are going to go for Edward here, it looks like.
A Lunar Enchanted Eddie. So quite notably, Eddie, if it had come down with water, would have been a 1/4, which is terrible in this particular instance.
This is very, very nice. So what we're doing here is putting the onus on Justin to proactively Gorgons, which I think Trish has the read this set card is because of the way it interacts with Spectaris, or
it's a shield.
And the shield here comes down in such a way that puts the best card to have in your hand back in Trish's hand.
Knowing that Eddie is an answer for anything that comes down in the near future here.
Notably,
though, it looks like that's a hurricane coming down.
That's a nice one.
Yeah, no, that is a full stained glass hollow hurricane coming down. paying with those stained glass spirits from Shattered Stars. But with that said, that answers the shield and a Gorgon's Gaze out of Trish. That might be backbreaking because down comes the Werepup here, and that's going to be able to grab Full Moon. This is going to spiral out of control way too fast. Like, losing two of your options like that so early is already very, very rough. But now Justin going to be able to just push his advantage forward, deal 2 to Trish here. You don't have Gorgon's Gaze to shut it off. You have Eddie potentially here, but I have to imagine you're going for a Lunar Enchant, so you're playing around the Galaxy again. It's just not a great situation to be in.
Nothing feels fantastic here. We are going for the Lunar Enchant, as you suggested. That's going to force out the Full Moon in a way that's maybe a little less ideal for Justin, and compared to like the top end of what that card can accomplish.
I have to imagine that Trishula has held at least one piece of back row, and there's 2 of them coming down right now. So where now if he'll force out the Like a Void no matter what here, as Eddie attacking into the Werepup will kind of force that interaction to start up. Down comes a Zeus, very notably, never mind on forcing the Werepup. Zeus is going to allow...
We're going for the Galaxy.
Yeah, he's going to answer the Galaxy here. Yeah, the Full Moon is going to do nothing to stop the Galaxy getting run over. And now your Full Moon is live to make your Werepup immune, your Werepup into a Like a Void that is immune to whatever back row is there.
They can deal with it when you proactively.
Yeah.
Oh, expecting to draw. It's looking rough in that he can't establish anything new on the board this turn, but it's not looking rough in that we have a Werepup that can convert into a Like a Void into an empty board.
Yes, that is true, but also consider the following: Gorgon's Gaze. If you lose one of your Full Moons to a Gorgon's Gaze here, that is backbreaking at this particular stage, as you've already used a Werepup search to get to your first Full Moon. Any guy that can answer a Werepup is gonna go
Nobby
really
would be insane. That was an expend to draw, it looks like.
Yeah, it was, and that is unfortunate from Trishula's side, as that probably kind of gives the read that he doesn't have a guy. At this point, Justin here sitting pretty comfortable with how Trish has been playing. And there goes the other Werepup. Now Gorgon's Gaze doesn't even do it. That is absolutely terrifying, as now your Gorgon's Gaze is not going to be able to stop a Like a Void from coming down here, to the point where I don't know if you even bother searching the second copy of Full Moon. If he cited it in, there's the Gibbous, the Waxing Gibbous.
I mean, I got to be completely honest. This is a horrible state of affairs for Trishula. Taking another 2 here. Theoretically, I mean, we could just push the Like a Void for damage, force out a Gorgon's Gaze. Trish takes another 2, goes down to 8. It resolves anyway. You go to like 9. It's tough. Nobby here would at least force the Full Moon, but is that even good? No.
No,
way.
It's an expend a draw. Oh no.
How are we drawing this poorly in Game 3 of Finals? Oh,
no. No, please tell me he is not going to remain the bridesmaid through this whole
After all
ordeal.
this, Trish is being left at the altar.
Oh, no. The Ambro coming down, paying off of Zeus here, trying to conserve some kind of spirit count by the looks of it. Right now, Justin, just all he needs to do is push the advantage. Like, he could even realistically take an
the resting
draw.
play.
No, there's the Laurels. So that actually might do something.
No, this may force the Full Moon, because of course it can blanket by making the target no longer legal. It looks like we are going to do it. So by doing this, we've gotten the Like a Void out in a position where it is not going to be immune to counter runes on Trishula's turn.
I will say, I feel like what might have actually been an ideal play there is going for Full Moon, specifically paying off of the Werepup that has gotten hit by the Laurels there, to where if you're forcing Gorgon's Gaze out, it's still going to get clocked anyways. I guess it doesn't matter in the long run, but yeah, the resting on your Laurels will have to fizzle, because now the targeted Werepup has more spirits on the board than the least enchanted Elestral, and notably the Full Moon now resolving. This allows Justin to go up over the less enchanted
unbelievable
Werepup.
play here.
And
so this is really frustrating for Trish, because obviously the next play is Cryoblast the Like a Void. As is, we probably have to set a card, telegraphing pretty hard that it's Tsunami. It has to be Tsunami if we want any chance of being in this game. But if it is, it puts us in a great position for a knobby push on the crackback.
All in all here. And that, no, here comes the water.
No,
it is going to go onto something,
Galaxy,
but I think
probably.
it's a new... No, it's a
Miss
Specterus.
Sure, that's fine. Putting a water on a Like a Void is always such a scary thing to do. It plays around Tsunami, but it doesn't play around Shield of Achilles, and it puts you in a position where like Galaxy eats you alive. I do like attacking with the Specterus here and then being like, okay, I'll try for the 4. Trish, if you've got something, we have to see it now. Well, it looks like they're tied in count.
Shield on the Werepup. Very notably here is, I believe that's onto the Werepup declaration. So the Werepup will go back to hand. Trish will still take 2, but that does take 1 threat off the board. But now the Like a Void is kind of in a position it can still swing in for 2. And this is just kind of getting really out of hand.
It's a calculated risk Trish is doing, understanding that he doesn't have a mechanism by which to beat the Like a Void if it just comes down as an Ascension.
Werepup, though.
Big Werepup
wait a
here.
minute.
What we're looking at here is a Werepup into a full moon that will bankrupt Trish. It's got to be followed up by an Ambro or some sort of healing, or this game may be over.
Also, correct my previous statement. We know Justin has Waxing Gibbous in the back row. It might just be over regardless. Opting not to go for those sets by the looks of it.
We are going to fire an Ambro. Okay. All right.
Yeah. 29 seconds left on that clock. I don't know if Trish is aware of the clock right now. That might be a little bit rough for him. 2 back row coming down, following up. If he passes turn here, then he's taking his time. I don't know if he's going to pass it before. No, he's going to commit the full moon, and that is...
All right, we're turn 0, and we're setting the moon up now. Here we go.
And it looks like Trish is going to try and just make the push. Back row be damned. We're going Like a Void.
Another Cryoblast installation. We are immune to counter runes this turn. That does not mean we're going to be immune to counter runes forever. This is an easy hit over the Specterus. We get to do 2 damage, put Justin to 6. Scary, scary stuff.
Absolutely terrifying stuff. And also, quite notably, if Trish does have it kind of clocked that set is Tsunami, kind of doesn't matter if he's immune to counter runes this turn, as Justin could flip the Tsunami on his own turn to put that Like a Void to defense. So it doesn't really matter in that regard. So I guess Trish is just more scared of the Cryoblast than he is of the Tsunami in this particular situation. If we're looking purely at current spirit and board presence, Justin would have it with 7 over the 6. But the Eddy coming down onto the Like a Void here, that would put it into defense to clean it up.
It's going to be a Gorgons.
Yes, it could.
Oh, no.
It has to be Gorgons, but oh no. Trishula also on 6 total here. We have to consider, and down comes the Zoops. The Thunderbringer coming down here with 2 Thunder under it, notably.
Of course, in a time situation, this doesn't matter at all because the spirits remain on field. Going down to 1.
Yeah, but quite notably, Justin did already search Waxing Gibbous. We know that is in his
no.
Oh,
that's lights out, baby.
This is the time you want to see the Ambro. Looks like it's going to be Lunar Water Thunder. Coming back from Justin here. And with that said, I think Justin's going to look at moving to combat here. Eddy alone answers this Like a Void, and there's no Waxing Gibbous that's going to stop that. There's no Tsunami that's going to stop that. This might be all she wrote for Trish. Trish, though, still eyeing his back row, thinking if there's anything he realistically can do. There is the Waxing Gibbous, but that is not going to be enough, as this Like a Void is at 3 attack, quite notably because of the Zeus proc. I am unsure. Let's see here. You may... no, it's target a Lunar Enchanted Elestral and change its battle position. Okay, so now we're going for the shield onto the Eddy. Or no, not onto the Eddy. What is going on here?
So it looks like what we're doing is shielding, pulling off the Like a Void, and paying 1 to return the Eddy to the hand in the same chain that we're activating the Waxing to move the Like a Void. This will send our Like a Void to the graveyard, but it also doesn't work because we know that Justin has their own waxing.
Yeah. That's
okay, so that's the
rough.
play. Justin, let's flip up the card we know you have.
Yeah. I mean, we saw him do it. We saw him add it earlier in the game. There's the waxing. Yeah.
And that's going to be the scoop.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think Trish unfortunately forgot that Justin did add the waxing there, and that is unfortunately just going to be...
No, you play to your outs.
Yeah.
And we are here with the winner of the Elestrals webcam event. Justin, 2 times in a row. How did you do it?
A lot of luck, a lot of help. I don't know, a lot of things going my way. It was a long day. It was tiring early. There was a lot of misplays too. And like I said, it took a lot of luck. And again, like just all the people who've kind of helped me along the way. All the Nimbugs, you know, the Cabal, shout out to the Cabal. Literally anybody who's helped me test, because any of the testing I have done, it's been pretty minimal. But any games that was thrown my way, I really appreciate it. And then of course, all the theory. It really means a lot.
I was going to say, I mean, you're mentioning a lot of luck. What we saw in that final was a lot of skill. To our understanding, you've kind of pioneered this more expanded lunar phase engine with the waxing gibbuses. What went into building your deck for this weekend?
So this week, the main thing was I expected there to be obviously a lot more mirror matches. And then we also kind of came to the consensus that there's only so much you can do in the main deck to compensate for the mirror without sacrificing all the other decks that you might run into. And so the goal of it was really maybe make a couple of changes to the main deck while keeping the consistency to it. And then really the side deck, which when people see it, you're going to look at it and it's wacky, but the side deck is what really is the big difference this time around. And again, shout out to everybody. Shout out specifically to Josh, Bean Soldier, and shout out to Trish, who was in the semifinals with me, because we were both up till, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours before the tournament even started, literally theorizing, making side out patterns, and like it was just a long grind and a long night, and it paid off.
Yeah, that's incredible. Also hilarious to hear that your finals match was a testing match that you were throwing together 3 to 4 hours before the event happened. Is that something you were expecting? I know previously, this is not your first time tussling with Trish in Top Cut.
True. Well, I'll say this. I know for me, it was one of those things where me and Trish came into this tournament with the exact same list, card for card. We kind of believed in the build, in the side patterns, in the approach. We did find some flaws early along the way with how we recognized the field was pivoting to play against our deck. And luckily, it's not that big a deal to kind of adjust your strategy because the deck is so flexible. But I wasn't surprised to run into him in the finals because we've put in so much time thinking about it and working on it. And yeah, love you, Trish, man.
Have to ask, you mentioned that you were expecting a lot more mirrors and then you didn't play them. Did you play anything ridiculous on your run to finals?
The wacky deck, the wackiest deck I think I played against, I forget who it was that was playing it, but is basically like a Centarbor Turbo, where the goal was to Golden Apple, discard Centarbor, rise from the ashes it back, put a Lunar Spirit and a Water Spirit on it, so like it just shuts off all my stuff. It was horrifying. I don't know how I got out of that. Especially they opened the full combo. It was like Rabbit, Golden Apple, Rise. They pitched the Centarbor. It was crazy.
I guess it's customary when during a winner's interview, if you have any shouts out, any people you want to thank during this, just go ahead, go for it.
I already touched on it a little bit, but you know, anybody in the Nimbugs, shout out, love you all. Again, thank you for any of the time that you might have been able to help me out with it. And again, specifically with Josh and with Trish, really just grinding it out last night and really trying to refine what ideas we had and what made sense and what didn't. And honestly, anybody I went up against today, everybody was amazing, super kind. It makes the day very enjoyable when we're all just having fun, enjoying the game. And so I appreciate all you as well.
Well, congratulations on an amazing run, an amazing back-to-back win, like fundamentally unheard of. Congratulations, and thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.